You know what time it is. It is time for the week in review. Just wanted to say hi to you guys and let you guys all know that I have just recently fired up the Substack again. If you are interested in getting the morning outlooks on Tuesday through Friday delivered to your inbox before the open, and the little drops here and there of some crypto and stock that I might be watching, please sign up now through Substack. I got the link in the description below. I'm also giving everybody a free 7-day trial just for checking it out. So hope to see you guys there and look forward to your support. Now let's get on with the weekend review. So we got a couple things going on this week that I want to mention here. Obviously we are moving and grooving on our way up. First and foremost, the very first thing I noticed is that we gained on the weekly this week. So it was only by one tick, but it doesn't matter. A gain is a gain, and it was still a pretty strong push towards the end of the day. We had a nice little dip that we were able to buy on Friday. It was right at the open, and then we had a nice smack up here at the highs that we talked about, and we pushed up hard towards the end of the day to give us this gain at 64.25. So this was a nice solid close. One of the things I wanted to point out to you too is we are technically still in the previous week's value. As you guys know, I like to start with the weekly TPO, and this is actually 2 weeks put together here, guys. Let me show you this. Let me undo all the merges in this profile. So you can see that we are in the previous week's value. We have the previous weekly value area high up here located at 64.40. This is clearly where they're trying to work their way up to. I was noticing here that we had two overlapping POCs, and our value areas were fairly much overlapping, so that's why I put them together. But obviously this is, we're looking to continue to push higher. As you guys know, when I talked about on Friday, we talked about how if 64.07 didn't absolutely drop this thing, that we more than likely will see all-time highs. And the reasoning for that is we had already played the 64.25 weekly, and this brought us way down on this day here all the way to 63. Let's call it through 63.30, and they held that leg and continued to move higher. And I can show you exactly how that played out here just on the 4-hour chart. So this was the 25 area. We pulled all the way back in. We held this big 4-hour leg here, and they've made their way back up, but now we've gained. So we are continuing to move higher. I honestly think that we're probably looking to see all-time highs again, if I had to guess. We have one big area of resistance right now above us that is a daily at 64.3175. Monster spot, certainly be looking for that. We want to see if this thing hits, you want to see continuation underneath 25 to get some follow through. Okay, if not, we're just going to continue to march up. That's just how it's going to be. Okay, so I would certainly watch this particular area and see what happens, but more than likely we are surfing all-time highs here again shortly. Okay, so with that being said, that's what I got for the upside, because there just really isn't a whole lot of resistance. For the downside, now we've had some support on the 4-hour, but in all honesty, it doesn't look great for daily support, which tells me they really need to kind of hit the gas on this thing if they're going to continue this upside move. As you see here, we've got some low volume in this TPO here, which is basically from 63.98 or call it 6,400 down to 63.25. When I go down to the 4-hour or the 1-hour chart, it'll be a lot more visible so that you can see what's cooking here. And then I'll show you what 4-hour support I have that I like. Right now, as you guys, like I just said, we don't really have a whole lot of support on the daily side. We have our previous leg here, which is to the all-time high. This was always been our big Melmo shift here, above or below this 63.44.75. It's been a big deal, as you guys know. We've been monitoring this pretty much all week. And then the other big one was the 63.20 or 63.23, which has been a godsend for us for above or below. And it really has been really nice for us to be able to have these two areas to monitor for momentum shifts. And as you guys know, when we've gotten above or below these, we've really seen some drastic moves. And so really it's really been on the way up, as you can see here, for the most part. They triggered this beautiful failed breakdown on Friday/Monday, and we just squeezed all week. And it was just a great trade. We called it out early. And for those of you who were in it, that was awesome. So no complaints there whatsoever. Now, one of the areas that I do want to point out, or two of the areas I want to point out, are supports. I have a weekly support at 62.94, and I also have 62.68 right here. And this is also a daily level at 62.68. This would be considered the leg in low. And when we go down to the 4-hour chart, we're really going to kind of focus on these a little bit, and we'll hone in on this stuff here. So let's actually make our way over there so that we can get this show on the road. I just noticed one thing, and for whatever reason I didn't have this marked. 6302 is the other weekly. Okay, so 6302, 6294. This is the same area. Okay, and when I show you what it'll look like on the 4-hour chart, you'll see why I'm pointing this out to you. This is one of my very significant spots on the chart that I'd be looking to buy. So I wanted to make sure we touched on this, and you'll see when we go down to a lower time frame. So I just wanted to point that out to you guys real fast. Make sure that you guys are marking those on your charts here. As you can see, we also have a 2-week composite at 6303, which puts us right in this vicinity as well. So there's a lot of reasons to like this spot, okay? And if you zoom out a little bit, you can see we have a massive amount of congestion here. This is just a good spot, okay? And I just wanted to point that out before we got too much farther down the road here. So let's go ahead and get into the 4-hour. So the 4-hour is got a lot of support in here, and some of them I'm like, and there's a couple that I really like. And really the one that I'm looking at this and I can't really debate or decide is 6371. 6371 is technically reset. It actually comes from the support all the way to the left, which is super significant there. And it looks like it's tested right here, but on the 1-hour, it's technically untested. So I have reset. And then the other one that I like on a pullback would be 6384. This is the prior day's open. We also have some trap traders here. And the structure on the lower time frame actually looks pretty darn good. So I like 6384 for some 6384.50 for some support. 6371 I'm watching, and then the leg end on this, which clearly gained right here, is the 6355.75. This is a good spot for me. This is probably my favorite out of all of it, simply just because it's the leg end for this particular move. Okay, so 6355.75. And then below that, we have the other leg end that I would be watching at 6320.75. The reason I like this is because there are some real significant dailies down here that we talked about, which is those 6320, 6323. I'll just go ahead and pull those up so you can see them. And then we have the 4-hour here. So if we play this area here, guys, and they pull back and they accept value over these dailies and we get above this low wick here, this could trigger another nice fill breakdown and squeeze us all the way back up. And so I out of my areas here that I'm like really looking at that I think are my favorite is 6355.75 and then 6320.75 with the reclaim of the 6325.75 low, and then you get us back above this significant 4-hour here, which was the previous leg to the all-time high. It's clearly played here, right? We held this leg just on what was that, Thursday? It's a big number to get above. So 63.36, find acceptance off of the 20 and get back above 36. This thing could really boogie. So want to keep those areas in mind for sure. And I'm going to overlay some of the higher time frames just so that you can see what I'm talking about here. One of the other things too that I noticed was this 63.20.75 area. Well, the previous weekly value area low that we talked about first thing is a 63.24. So this is a big spot, guys. I mean, huge. Another thing that I noticed too was the previous weekly value area high is at 74. So we've got this area at 84, we've got the previous weekly value high at 74, and then we've got this questionable spot here at 71. The thing I did like about it, there was a naked POC here, there was trapped, it's the open. I would be watching for this area, and to be honest, I'm going to go down to the 1-hour time frame so we can zoom in on this a little bit more. The other area that I just pointed out to you guys previously is these weeklies at 02 and 94. Both of these weeklies are untested, and I like them both. And then directly below this, we have some 4 hours here at 62.92 and 62.89. This really would be a great spot to find acceptance and get back above this area to go and play these weeklies. I mean, those weeklies, this was the leg in, and we just gained. So I do like these areas. If we didn't gain, I wouldn't be so excited about it, but I do like that particular part. Now, we do have some singles down here as well at 63.0650 and 63.0375. That this would be an inefficiency in the market that could get cleaned up and then come into this support and play. And I'm going to go down, like I said, to the lower time frame and really show you guys the way that I think we could play these from an actionable trade setup with stops in the whole nine, but for now we're just doing some high-end look here. So last but not least, we have this daily weekly at 62.68. It's a daily weekly combo. We also have a 3-day composite point of control down here, and this would be the leg end, okay? I would not be overly excited about playing this, but I wouldn't be scared of it either. I would hope that they wouldn't come all the way down here, but we'll see what happens. I would really prefer these weeklies here to hold and then start to get some Momo off of those before I started buying down here. But again, this is the lowest area, the lowest untested. This would be the highest risk to reward here. And then we all know that if we get below 62.48, it's fugly. It's ugly down there. So as you can, when I say risk to reward, you literally have, what is this, like a 28 point stop, which is pretty big if they hold this, because it could technically squeeze all the way back up. So just something we're keeping an eye on, these areas. But ultimately, when I get rid of all this stuff and we just talk about the 4 hour, this is the ones I mentioned earlier were the ones I'm really interested in, because this area down here was tested on the 4 hour. And again, there's a lot of other high time frame confluence down there, so nothing to be super scared about. But I like my 4 hours. I like the risk and rewards on there. So to the upside, however, we have the upside resistance at 64.53.75. That is the only 4 hour I have higher. That is 64.53.75. If that level doesn't hit it, we are making an all-time high, and more than likely we'll make it anyway. What I would say, if we get all the way up here, what will happen is we'll push up, play 63 or 64.53.75, pull back into 25, and then get that juice going higher. Because remember, what was once resistance now becomes support when you're above it. So if it smacked really hard on the way down, on the way up, when we pull back into it, it should play as support and could catapult us to new highs. So depending on where we open, this could be a nice place to buy into the long if you were looking to basically buy above support. Of course, I already pointed out the areas that we need to be looking for lower if you're looking to buy the pullback. Okay, so with that being said, let me just pull up the 1 hour time frame real quick and we'll call it a day here. So this is the 63.84.75. I told you I like this structure. This actually looks pretty good here. Below that, we have the 63.70 area. I believe that's what that says here. Let's see. 63.71, pardon me. And you can see right here it's technically untested. It even comes across this 1 hour here, which would be a reset 1 hour. And this is the previous open. It's the yesterday's point of control. There's a lot of reasons to like this spot. So I guess if you wanted to be conservative, you could wait until it gets back above 76 and buy into this. But this is a decent spot. And then when I was talking to you about this leg in down here, here you go. So we've got the 4 hour leg in at 63.55, and then you've got the 1 hour at 48. Then you've got these two really thick, important dailies down here that we talked about, the previous legs to the all-time high. That's that 48 and 44.75, the 63.44.75. Super important. So again, now that they've gained, and the leg goes like this, because remember, it went like this, right? And as you can see, we've pulled back into it, we held, right? We go back up here, we pull back into it, we've held. This would technically be the next spot, right? And so if they pull back into this, we would want to see them hold this to go. Otherwise, once we sweep this, she's toast, okay? And I say toast in this particular sequence because we talked about how 63.20 could play as well. It's very plausible, but I'm just talking about in this leg sequence, we certainly want to see this 55 to 48 area hold. And this would, if this holds, this would take us all the way back up to a new high, potentially. Okay, obviously you have to get back up above certain supports, but that's how we walk it up, and that's how we would play the legs. Okay, so yeah, it's all about the legs, baby, all about them sexy legs. So I hope that helps you guys understand how I'm looking at this, kind of break it down from there. And this is the other, let's talk about this other spot here. I told you I would focus on this. So this is where those singles are down here. We got those weeklies at 02 and the weekly at 94. We have a 1 hour here at 6,300, which lines up with the 02 weekly and the 2 week composite POC. If this comes down here, this could hold. this really could hold, and this, if it gets back above this 63.20, she's gone. All right, so if they do want to sweep down in below in here, we've got this 94 here, and we've got those 2 4 hours at 92 and 90, and we've also got a 1 hour at 89. They could easily play this pocket in here, get back above the 94.50, get back above the 02, and then continue to squeeze, and then back above 63.20, etc., etc. And we just have to play it like that, guys. That's just how we have to do it. Okay, so we take it line to line. We don't exactly always know where it's going to go, but we try to leave a runner just in case she squeezes nice for us. So that's what I got there for that. I'm going to go ahead and just briefly touch on one thing. I've talked about this for weeks, and so I'm getting kind of tired of talking about it. And if you guys want to review some of the older ones, that's fine. The weekend reviews, that's fine. We've talked about this area down here, and this is, if we get a pullback and we come into the 61.50s, we got a weekly here at 50 and 49, 61.49.25, and a weekly at 61.43, 75. This is a great area, and what I would be looking for this to do is play and then get back above with acceptance above the previous all-time high at 61.66.50, and then we could just basically squeeze all the way back up to at least 62.48, if not higher. That would be your trigger on this, was to get back above the previous all-time high with acceptance and kind of just let this thing go. So some of the other weekend reviews, I've talked about what happens if we get lower. We're not going to do that on this one. And one of the things I wanted to point out to you just real quick, and I think this is showing through right now, this is all about seasonality. And I was really looking because, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but September is historically the weakest month of the year. They call it the September effect. Basically, it has a lot of portfolio adjustments, tax loss harvesting, and people go on vacation, etc. And August, as we've noticed, this performance can be sluggish. Well, we haven't exactly had low trading volumes this month because we just started, but they're not really making a whole lot of progress right now as we kind of just sit in this big balance area. And July we were just slightly positive. And I think the same so far is kind of applying to August, even though the month has just started. We're about on the 10th of this week, will be basically midweek. But we haven't made any significant gains per se. So I'm pointing out these lower levels to you guys because there is a possible chance that September we could get a pullback. And it could happen before, I don't know. But I'll go ahead and include this little thread in there for you guys. But there is a chance that we might actually get a pullback one of these days, and if we do, we need to be ready for it. So I posted in the room some stuff that actually some guys on CNBC, which is the worst place to get information, but they were talking about the 61.50 area as well, which we were just speaking about. And they were also talking about if they get a pullback into the 6,000 area, that this is where we want to dig in. Now, do we really care about what CNBC says? No, not particularly. But at the end of the day, I can certainly see what they're talking about. I have a ton of support in here, a ton. And so, we want to see 61.50 be our trigger and hold and then go from there. But if they pull back into here, I wouldn't be overly concerned with buying into the 60.50, 60.25 area. So we'll play that when the time comes. Just kind of wanted to show you guys what I was thinking and why I was pointing these areas out to you before. And from a seasonality perspective, we could kind of simmer around here for now, but next month could give us a little volatility. So just be careful, trade safe, and I will talk to you guys soon. And I'll see you guys with the morning outlooks on Tuesday. Cheers.